GM.
Yo.
We are live. How's it going, everyone? GM. I'll let the room fill out for a few more minutes before we kick this off.
Is this being streamed on Twitter too, or just?
It is. Which the Twitter comments will come in through here, but we cannot answer the Twitter comments through this chat in StreamYard. You have to answer them on X in the live stream portion there.
But you can see them in here?
Correct. I should have grabbed them. I'm going to grab a cup of water.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Room's filling up. Got some GMs in chat.
Sweet.
So yeah, today we'll be going over the lab's ecosystem. So that includes our contracts, contract features, our products related to physicals with like Trace. And we have some new features and updates to the lab, such as batch uploads and a new cleaner mint page flow, especially for additions. So, we have a lot to cover today, a lot of new features, and yeah, we're just really excited to have you all here. I'm going to try to set up my screen sharing here.
Sounds good. I should have probably forgot to make a folder for example batch uploads of images.
Right.
So I'm trying to think if I have something for these.
Actually, I wonder if I can do this.
Let's do it out of this.
Download PowerPoint.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That didn't work. PowerPoint's too big. Hey Ben, if I'm going to be in the PowerPoint, I can't see the chat.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm...
Yeah, we could just take turns. Hey, Ryan. What's up? What's up, Ryan? What's up? Yeah, we can we just take turns watching the chat.
Right,
so if you want to present, and then when I go to like do some demos of that section, then you can watch the chat.
Perfect. All right. I'll just jump right into it then.
Let's go.
So welcome to the lab. About us, Transient's innovative platform for Web3 projects and creators. Lab is our codeless creator platform built to make it easy for you to create mint work, create mint pages. Auctions are coming soon, so we have a lot in the pipeline and a lot that's already there that we're excited to share with you today. So we live by a simple mission that's built different. Join us. So about the lab, you can create your own contracts. They're all artist sovereign. You can experiment with dynamic art. And some features include customizable mint pages. We have 3 main contract types, as well as the trace contract for physicals. And then we have features like story inscriptions and synergy, which were part of almost every contract. Story inscriptions are a part of every contract. So our core creator contracts include the ERC 721TL, also known as the 1 of 1 or 1 of 1 of X contract. And so, like I mentioned, every single contract that we have is artist sovereign. This is a lot of technical mumbo jumbo here. But the important thing to note is this contract comes with two features. It's synergy and story inscriptions. And we'll jump into all that in a minute. We also have our 1155 TL contract, which is perfect for additions. It comes with features for batch token creation, airdrop functionality, story inscriptions, and again, it is artist sovereign. All right, and this is a special transient contract. You cannot find this anywhere else on any other platform, but it allows for some really cool use cases as a creator. So what are multi-creation tokens? The ERC 7160 contract, also known as the multi-creation token contract, revolutionizes how a traditional smart contract works. So here you can actually have multiple pieces of digital content rather than a single piece. So imagine a gallery within a token. And you can basically put different file types like JPEGs, MP4s, GLBs, and even HTMLs in the same token. And there is no limit. So you can add 100 different files to one token, giving the collector the ability to toggle, which of those 100 creations they want to display. So an easy use case to imagine is putting 3 different aspect ratios for a 1-of-1 in a tokens array. This means if the collector has a 16:9 screen, like aspect ratio, they can go into their token, pin the 16:9 ratio, and have a seamless display. So the way it works is you have the origin token, which is the token that you actually mint. And then once you mint that token, you're able to add additional artwork creations. So for example, in the aspect ratio example, you could mint the 1:1, 1-to-1 aspect ratio as the origin token, and then have as many other aspect ratios as you'd like as artwork creations. And so, here's some kind of utilities of this. One is that it has a dynamic metadata revision history. So instead of you updating the metadata and the original content being lost or erased, this allows the collector and future owners to see the progression of the token over time. It maintains the full evolution of the piece. On the other hand, they also offer a way to reward and engage collectors. So instead of airdropping new tokens, you as a creator can just add new content or artworks to their existing tokens. So you can continue to tell the narrative, tell the story over time without flooding your collectors with airdrops. This can be used for adding color variations, telling a story over time, aspect ratios, etc. So we have some examples here of 7160 projects, or projects that utilize this contract. The first one is Perils of Sese by All Seeing Seneca. And so each artwork now actually has 3 tokens or 3 creations. And so as you can see, when you minted this first artwork on the left, and you can see the border. I'd pay attention to the border. And if you held, I don't remember the exact periods of time, but if you held a certain amount of time, your border evolved and it grew. And then if you held, 3 months, your border looked like this. It was fully blossomed, and your piece was finalized. But the cool thing is, All Seeing Seneca has the ability to add new artworks whenever they want. It can be 10 years from now, they can still continue to add new artworks to this token. Another really cool example is the 24 Hours of Art token by Roger Dickerman. And so here, if you look at the top, this is a placeholder token. So they had a mint of 366 placeholder tokens. And then every day of the year, one of the tokens actually shifted to represent that day or that day in art. So what happened in the art market on January 1st, it evolved to this new token. And so, for example, like Cosmo de Medici, he bought the placeholder. He received his date, which let's say is January 2nd. And then Roger also added a third state to it, being a custom version of his token to kind of give him a shout out here. Do you want me to pause here, Ben, or can I just kind of keep going? We have a few more examples, but maybe we'll just do this one and then wrap up, and you can kind of show us what this looks like in the lab.
Yeah, I think it'll make more sense to do this is like a demo.
Yeah, this takes a second to comprehend, I think.
Yeah, it'll make. Maybe we do the demo and.
Sure, I can stop sharing my screen here.
Sounds good. And we could just go through
all contract deployments.
Yeah, we could do it super quick.
Let's do it.
I'm going to share.
I just want to emphasize, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I'm going to be here to answer them, or Ben. We want to make sure that you come out of this with a solid understanding of the lab and all of its features.
Are we good? Am I sharing?
There you go. You're sharing now.
Cool. So this, if you just visit the lab.transient.xyz, it's going to bring you to here. You won't see all these contracts if it's your first time. It'll just be blank, and you'll just see a create new. I have a ton of contracts just from testing and everything, but you'll see something very similar. But it brings you to what's called the dashboard. And from here, there's multiple ways to start creating. So you could create a new contract with this button up here. You could come down, find this create new here. That also does the same thing. Or you can come up to this top right modal, which is a new modal that we introduced that feels a little bit more natural. So walks you through like, what do you want to do first? Not just make a contract, but are you looking to do one of X? Are you looking to do additions, multi-creations, which is a 7160? Do you want to do a mint page? Do you want to do just a one of X sale? Or do you want to trace as the authenticate your physical kind of NFTs? So there's all kinds of ways to access the same thing. But if we wanted to do a 721, we do a one of X. So you click this, it'll show you all your existing contracts. But you can also just do create new contracts. So there's a lot of ways to get to the same contract deployment. You can also access it from, not from there, from here, from transient.xyz. That create modals up here as well. And that brings you over to the lab. So this is like our marketplace, discoverability, mint/future, very soon auction platform. And then the lab is like the studio. So we're just going to create a new contract. Probably not going to deploy it because I don't need more contracts. But this would be like, you can name it whatever you want. This is the name of your collection. Let's do something a little bit more human.
What about the chains offered?
Oh yeah. Yeah, let me cover that in a second here. But let's do like, what did I call it? Pursuit. This is going to be the name of your collection. Pursuit of landscapes, or landscape. And so up here, I can choose my chain. We have, ignore this. This is all testnet. So you're going to see Sepolia and stuff like that. But this is ETH, Shape, which is the artist chain from Deca. That's a Shape L2, Arbitrum, and then Base. I'm just going to go ahead and do this on Base because I know I have Base, Sepolia, Test ETH in my wallet. The symbol down here, you can update to whatever you want. It just defaults to the acronym of your title, but you can change it to anything. So I think it's 5 characters. Yeah, 5 character max. I'm just going to call it land. Why not? And then here you'd see like your contract type. This is where you select between 1155, 721, 7160, and then trace. And we're doing a 721 here. Actually, yeah, I'm not going to deploy this just because I don't need more. But you would hit deploy here. If you're on the wrong network, it's going to prompt you to switch. And then you would just sign your transaction. It's going to index it, and it's going to deploy the contract and bring you to that contract page.
What about the advanced features?
Yeah,
what is that little advanced drop down?
So yeah, downhill here, you'll see the advanced drop down. If you want to start to modify the default values of like royalty percentage for your secondary sales, you can modify that here. Your royalty recipient defaults to your connected wallet address. A block list basically like prevents this piece from being listed on platforms that are on a block list. That don't obey royalties, so like pseudo swap and I think is Blur on here anymore? I cannot remember. We're always updating this list, but it's per the same list that OpenSea follows. And then Story Inscriptions defaults is enabled. this allows you to write on-chain inscriptions to the token as a creator or the owner of a token. You can always disable this if you don't want people to be able to inscribe stories to their tokens. And then finally, there's just a contract mark. If you want to add ASCII art, you can add that on chain. I rarely mess with advanced settings because I like 10%. I like to pay it out to my artist address, and I like to keep all these as is. But if you want to mess with it, you can there.
And with like story inscriptions and block list, you can always, like, all those fields you can change after deploying, right?
Yeah, so if we go back, actually I want to deploy a contract though. So let me deploy 7160 here because this is going to be like the demo for today. So yeah, we're going to deploy to 7160, and all I had to do is change this. I wanted the same title, same chain, same symbol. So I'm going to deploy the contract now. I'm going to sign this, and you'll see what it looks like. So it's currently indexing the contract. You'll see a little celebration. So if it's a 7160, you'll get this modal, which kind of explains what a 7160 is, how to use it. First, we need to create a token with an origin creation. So it needs to be minted with one piece of artwork. Then we can start to add creations on chain. So this is just kind of an educational panel. But normally, when you deploy a contract, it's going to just bring you to token one's token page, which looks like this. They all look the same, whether it's 721, 1155, or 7160. So I guess we can let's do something really quick. I want to we're going to do, you brought up the aspect ratio example. So I actually want to do that as like the 7160 demo here. So I'm going to mint a dynamic. This first piece here is actually dynamic. It's responsive. So it's an HTML piece, and depending on the view window, it's going to change size. So this is an actual HTML. Because it is HTML, I need a thumbnail. So I'm just going to upload a square thumbnail of the same artwork. Same with videos. Anything that's an animation type, videos, GLB, HTML, they're going to require a thumbnail. What are we going to call this? We'll call this, what was the name of this lake? I couldn't spell it if I tried. It's in Iceland, and it's really long. I'm going to call it Blue Lake. And then just for the sake of this, so we're testing aspect ratios. In advanced, once again, you have more options here. We can add an external link that goes to a website or pretty much anything that you'd like to add here. So it's just a URL. And then you can start to add attributes. So I could do like lake, blue, location. You know, we've all seen this stuff, probably on other minting platforms. And then you can add tags. So yeah, this is photography. Well, that is not how you spell photography. And then I can add another tag like it's also dynamic, this first piece. And so once you're done with all this, you can preview your token. It'll show you your description, your title, your attributes, your tags. And then you can either save the draft, or if you want to make a change, you can revise details. That brings you back. But yeah, this is the dynamic HTML. And when I show you on like the token page on the transient.xyz, you'll see why it's dynamic. But right now it's in a more square form factor because it's being shown over here on the left. So I'm going to save that draft and go back to, oops, didn't mean to make another draft here. Go back to my contract page here. You can see I have a draft ready token. So I'm going to select this and mint it. So there's a toolbar on the bottom for every contract type. That's how you pretty much manage your draft tokens or your minted tokens. You can select multiple if you had multiple to do like a batch mint or creating a mint page, but I just have one piece that I want to mint. So I'm just going to select that one token, hit mint. This is the same address that this is my artist address. It's what it defaults to, but if you want to mint it to a different address, you can put that here. And then once everything looks good, lets you preview the details one more time. I can mint it on chain. So it's going to create the token metadata. And I'm going to sign that transaction. And it should be pretty quick because we're on base. So there you go. Now it says minted up here. If I were to select this again, all of a sudden mint and mint page are grayed out. So
Well,
go ahead.
why is mint page grayed out?
Mint page is grayed out because for one of X collections, our mint contract, our marketplace contract uses lazy minting. So you actually select draft tokens. And so they don't get minted until they're actually minted by the collector themselves. But I just wanted to show how to add extra metadata to a 7160. So I just wanted to get this minted right now. So I just minted it as I would if I were going to set up an auction, which will be in here soon. Pretty soon down here, you'll see configure an auction, or that'll be over on the token page in the maker's place, in the marketplace, excuse me. So you see our toolbar, though, did change based on the state that this being now minted. I can duplicate it to get a new draft. So if I hit duplicate, you can now see I have a draft of this. If I select this one, I can create a mint page because it's not minted yet, but it's ready. So that way, if it does get minted by a collector, that's when it'll actually appear on chain. But I don't need this. I'm going to delete that draft token. So I'm going to open this minted token. And we get a new modal. It's like, hey, artwork creations has been unlocked for this because it's minted. And we'll see here, this is only something you're going to see on 7160. We'll see here a new token wizard, token editor. So we can see our on-chain creation, that's index 0, so the first one. And then we have all this space, and you can do as many. Like, this is literally infinite. You can add as many creations to a single token as you want. And it'll show us which one's actually like on chain. So we have one on chain, and it's this guy right here. So if I want to add another one, I can either hit this button up here, or I can hit this plus button right here. I can also make a duplicate of the one that's currently on if I don't want to redo descriptions, if I want the attributes to stay the same. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit duplicate here, and it's going to make a new draft creation. Keep in mind, this is the same token ID. It's not a new token. And this will make sense in a second once I make one. So the first one was dynamic. The second one here, I want to actually make one of these solid aspect ratios in case they have a frame that doesn't support HTML. So I'm going to make this one actually the 16:9. I'll put that in the description, just so I know. So I don't need a thumbnail anymore because this is now an image type. You can mix types in a single token. You could do one MP4, one GIF, one image, one HTML. It doesn't matter. That's what's really cool. It's mixed media. So this one looks good. I'm going to keep the same title. I'm just going to change the description. Attributes, let's see. I'm going to remove dynamic. Don't need that anymore because it's not dynamic. And everything else looks good. So once I'm ready, I can hit this check mark button here. And now this toolbar lights up for me. So I can be like, oh, preview creations. But I'm not done yet. I want to add a few more. So I'm actually going to duplicate this one again and load in the 1x1 image. Let's change this to 1x1. So you can do multiple at once. It doesn't have to be one at a time. That's what's cool about this. Let's duplicate this one. And then finally add our 9x16. So now we have, once that uploads, now we have all the images that I want to put on to the single chain or single token. So I'm going to select all 3 draft creations at once and then hit preview. And I can see here the 3 that are about to be added on chain to this token. So it's telling me, okay, so this one's going to be creation index 1, 2, and 3. That's the order I wanted it in. But if I wanted to switch for some reason, I can use these up and down buttons to shift things around in what order they show up in the token. But I'm just going to keep it in the same order that I made it. So I'm going to hit add on chain. We go through a very similar process that we did when we minted a token. So it's creating the metadata for all 3. I'm assigning an on-chain transaction. Should be pretty quick because we're on base. And it's now indexing these to our backend so that our marketplace and the studio or the lab can pull these in. So while we wait for that, it might take a little bit since it is 3 creations that are a little bit larger. Is there anything going on your end, Daniel?
We had a few questions or requests for like a public facing testnet so people can experiment with these things. And I know that's come up in the past. So that's mainly the main feedback.
Okay.
It's been around like a testnet version of the lab for creators before kind of putting things on chain.
Sure. Yeah, we'll have to bring that up. And kind of see, because technically anyone could use this. It's just gated. So I don't see why we couldn't make like a forked version of the dev environment. So okay, so we've now added all of our creations on chain here. My Wi-Fi is struggling. So you can see here we now have our index 1 and then 0 and then 1 2 3. So this one's the dynamic piece. This was the 16 by 9, 1 by 1, and the 9 by 16. And you can see all those here too. I'm also going to just go over to Launchpad to show you guys what this looks like. But if I wanted to add more, I could do that. So this one token now has 4 creations in it. And it makes more sense if I go over to the Launchpad and show you what an actual token page looks like. Fantastic. That's not the time that we want to have a client side exception. I wonder if I'm blocking it for some reason. All right, well, Brave decided to not like that URL. But anyways, if I go over to here, and what did I name that collection? Do you remember? Blue Lake aspect ratio. I'll just load it in here. So this is the token page. You remember how that dynamic piece was square? Well, now because it's given more room and we're looking at it on a larger canvas, this is just a really cool dynamic art recipe that we actually have in Dynamic Art Engine that anybody can use right now. This piece is now filling out the entire frame because that one dynamic HTML script contained all 3 aspect ratios, and it just checks to see how big its viewing environment is, and it pulls in the most corresponding version of that token. So we're looking at index 0 or the origin creation, that dynamic one. But if I were to load it up on my frame up here, which doesn't support HTML, it wouldn't work. So me as the collector or the owner of the token, I can come down here to token creations, and I can see that this token has 4 other creations in it. If I open any one of these, I can check them out in like a full window preview. So let's just say I want to pin the 1 by 1. So I'll open that up and I just hit pin. And once again, I'm going to just sign this because it's an on-chain action, because I'm actually I'm repointing the metadata for this token. So now this token just updated on-chain to the square version. It still has the dynamic version over here, but you can now see this icon here shows that I'm pinned on the 3rd artwork in this token. So I know it's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but if you're not familiar with this type of, because it's a somewhat of a new concept at this point. Instead of just being a 721 with one artwork, this is a 721 that is capable of hosting infinite artworks. So all 4 of these belong to this token ID 1. And you can do some really cool stuff with this, with your collection. Telling a narrative, collector experiences can be really unique. So yeah, so we just went through that whole process and pinned one of those IDs. So do we want to do anything else in the lab? I guess, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think we can actually, maybe we just jump in here on batch uploads. Like that's a brand new feature that we added today, and it applies across contracts. It makes it easier than ever to create.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to do it on a different contract. We'll just do it on, let's see here. What did I do in here? Cool. This is just a test contract, but this is a 721. You can do it. You can do batch uploads on 721, 7160s, 1155s. Doesn't matter. All contracts. So I'll do it on here. And there's this new button up here called batch uploads. So you can do create, which just brings you to a single token page. I just made myself a draft. You can see that draft here. Delete that draft. delete this draft too. Or I can do batch upload. So if I do batch upload, this one's brand new. Lets us upload multiple pieces at once. So if I come over here to my batch upload example, this folder has 4 images in it, and I just named them 1 through 5, but you could name these whatever you want. So, oops, you can add more files, but I'm also just gonna restart. I meant to select all of them. So if I upload all, this is just gonna pull in the file name. Since I just named it 1.jpg, 2.jpg, this is just gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want them very specific names, you just name your files those names, and this will pull it in, and that's what it's gonna use for the token name. You can replace any of these, you can delete any of them. So this is a bit, malleable. You can edit in here. And when I'm ready, I just finalize upload, and it just goes through one image at a time, and we'll upload these to their own token drafts. And we'll see that once this is done. Probably could have chosen slightly smaller images so it didn't take so long, but that's okay.
It's all right.
So these pieces are going to be named nothing creative, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everything's still editable though. So once this is done, you now see I have my 5 new drafts instantly. Before, you had to create one, do all the stuff, upload the image, put in a title, and then hit duplicate, rename it, and you had to upload a new image, and it took a lot longer. So now I can upload 100 images at once that are pre-named how I want them, and it'll create all the draft tokens for that. So if you want to edit any of the details in here, I mean, you can come in here and just call it something else. Yeah, it doesn't matter. This was number 1. There's a description here. You don't have to have a description. What is coming for batch uploads is the ability to add a batched description. So that would be like the next thing. So right now, as you see, if I open any one of these batch uploads, the description is blank. So you'd have to come in here and add a description to each token. But if you wanted like a same description for everything, that would be part of this like batch upload, where you'd click upload, select your 5 images, hit open, and then there'd be like a text box down here where you could type a global description, so you don't have to go through and fill it out for every single one. But still get unique naming on every single piece. But yeah, I guess, yeah, we've made those batch uploads. So if you wanted to from here, you could mint all 5 as a batch mint to one address, or you could create a mint page, which is if you want to like sell it as like a 1 of X mint, this is how you would do it. You wouldn't mint them first, you'd keep them drafts. And then from here, you could go through the mint page setup, name it, choose a date, choose a price, and go through the whole setup there. I'm trying to think if we missed anything.
I didn't know that descriptions were coming, but I'm thrilled to hear it. That's going to make life easier.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, if you still have to go into every single token and edit a batch, or sorry, edit a description or add one, that is almost just as slow as making new tokens. Like making a token, putting a description in, and then duplicating that, and then going in and editing the titles. So
it's going to be clean. Awesome.
I'm going to delete those draft tokens. Yeah, other than that, like that's pretty much the lab. The 1155 is pretty self-explanatory. There is one new, actually I do want to walk through a new, if you guys are not new to the lab, there is going to be something that you'll see. There's my kid with Santa Claus. So there's something new here. Like this is a draft ready token. With 1155s, the token has to be created on chain before a mint. It works a little different than a 721. And before, we used to ask you to mint this with a quantity of 0, which is really confusing. So we've actually removed that since. So if you have a minted token, you can create a mint page. But now, if you have a draft token, you can also create a mint page. The only difference is that if I hit create mint page, if it's unminted, it prompts you with this, like, first we need to finalize the token and create it on chain. And so that walks you through. Under the hood, it's creating the token with a quantity of 0. It's not minting any, but it's putting it on chain. So this should prevent a lot of confusion on having to select quantity 0, minting a token, then coming back to do a stacks or a mint page.
Should we go through the whole mint page flow since we're here?
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I want to do it with this one.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Let's do it.
Yeah, let me find a different token. We could do, what did I just make? Oh, I deleted all of them, didn't I? Let's do an 1155 though. So let's just make a new one. Let's do create. We'll just pick a new piece. We'll just do, this was pretty cool. I like this one. Actually, no, I like this one. So we'll do a pursuit of landscape piece here, which one of these days I'm going to probably do something with this art. So I'm going to create that token. I'm not going to edit any attributes. I'm just going to leave those alone. So I don't need to preview or anything. This little cloud up here means it's already been auto-saved. So I can just come back and I can see my draft is draft ready. I'm going to select it, create a mint page. This just confirms your selection, stays selected. So I'm going to hit next. So first, like I said, we need to create this token. So in other words, mint it with a quantity of 0. It's just a fun, weird quirk about 1155s. But we're hiding all that away. Keep it out of sight. All right, so we are now have our token created on chain. So we'll call this Pursuit of Landscapes. The URL or the slug automatically generates based on the name of your mint page. If this is slug's already taken by somebody else, it'll tell you. Like if I were to just put like test, I think. Yep, it highlights it here. It says stacks drop with this slug already exists. So I'm gonna change the language there. It's not called stacks anymore. It's just a mint page. So that'll just prompt you to change it. So I'm just gonna put back what I had before. Payout address defaults to my connected wallet, but you can change that. And then start time. You can choose right now at this second. You can future schedule it. You could even backdate it for some reason if you wanted to, but oh, actually, no, we disabled that. You used to be able to, but yeah, it wouldn't make any sense. So you can do it from now or you can future schedule it. So we'll just do it right now because I'm just going to make an open edition. Then you hit next. 1155s are cool because you get some extra mint mechanics here. So unlike 721s or 7160s, so like one of ones, you don't get to do cool things like velocity mint and marathon mint. So these are two unique versions. So it's cool that we're doing 1155. But you have limited supply, which we're all used to. It's just a cap supply. It could have a timer or it can be open until it's sold out. Inclusive edition, no timer, no supply. Infinite, open forever. Timed edition, infinite supply, potential, but has a timer on it. Velocity mint has a start timer, but every time a mint happens, time gets removed off the clock. So it creates a sense of urgency and can be really exciting and has a theoretical maximum supply if everyone minted right out of the gate. But it's fun because every time a piece gets minted, you can set up that time that gets removed to anything you want. You watch time just strip off the clock. And then a marathon mint actually adds time back to the clock each time there's a mint. So this one kind of like a discovery of demand for your piece. So the supply will be as big as there is interest to keep minting it. Velocity mint is like a way to create urgency. And then these three are pretty standard types of mint pages. So we'll do what should we do? Should we do?
I mean, we can do a velocity. I mean, the limited supplies are pretty simple. You just input the supply that you want on this step.
Yeah, so I'm doing velocity. So the total duration I'm going to have be 12 hours. My decay rate, so the rate at which every time there's a mint, I want it to take off 1 through 10 minutes. We'll do 10 minutes. I'm just going to max it out. And then the price, I'm going to make it super cheap so that I can mint it on Sepolia and not run out of test ETH. Probably even cheaper than that. There we go. And then I'm going to make the maximum for each wallet. I don't know, 10. So I can mint a few. And then next takes you to the actual mint configuration, the page. So you can create, this is where you get to really get creative. You can add descriptions. Maybe I should like do some lorem ipsum. Too lazy to write something right now. So let's just pretend I have a long description. You can write a description here. You can add informational sections. So I could have like about the artist. Cool stuff there. Make it a little bit shorter. And then you could add other sections too if you want. So we could do like about the art. Cool. And then we could have FAQs, like when Lambo, soon. So you can just do like frequently asked questions. And the cool thing about this is you can add these questions after the mint's going. If people have questions that they keep asking you about your art, you can actually come in here and update this stuff even after the mint's live. And you can add more of these. And then here's where you would put Twitter links. We'll just put my Twitter link. Oh my gosh, there we go. And then you can put Farcaster links. You can put your website here. And once you're done, you hit preview mint page. It's actually going to take you to what your mint page looks like when it's live without it being live. So I can see my art full screen. You can full screen it here. I can see my mint. There is no supply. It's a velocity mint. I can see that right here. Here's my description. Cool. Nice. Going to collapse that. I can see my about the artist section I could expand. My about the art section. And then finally some FAQs. When Lambo, soon. And you can add more. And then my socials here. Once I'm ready, I hit launch mint page, send transaction. We're publishing this mint page as we speak. So once this is through, we get sucked through the mint page portal right here. And now we have our procedural landscape, quick little social share if you want, or we can just go straight to viewing the mint page on transient.xyz. So now this page is live, public sale live, velocity mint. How much time is left here? We got 11 hours and 54 minutes and 15 seconds because I created it at the time of when I clicked that button. 6 minutes has elapsed since then, but if this was future proof, it would say starting in and then show you a date, or sorry, future scheduled. So now if I connect my wallet here, oh, come on, Rabby, you gonna be like that? I don't know if you guys use Rabby, but sometimes it's a little silly and it won't detect wallets. There we go. So I'm connected. I can, let's just check out the clock here. We got 53 minutes of the hour. I'm gonna mint all 10 because I'm super bullish on Ben Strauss's art. And I'm gonna hit purchase. The cool thing about this, and ignore this up here, is just because we're on testnet. The cool thing about our checkout is you can pay, even though it's on Base, I can pay with any other chain. So this would be ETH, Shape, Arbitrum, or Base. So I could pay for a Base mint with ETH or pay with an ETH mint with Base. Like, it doesn't matter. And then we have credit card stuff coming soon. So I'm just going to purchase it using the native currency here. Come on. Am I out of ETH? I wonder if I'm out of ETH. Or I think I might know what's happening. Okay, yeah, so we haven't configured this with testnet yet. But on mainnet, this has been tried and true, and it's live, and people are using it every day. But it's just because I'm on testnet. The cross bridging that we're using is not like in testnet. But if I were to mint, this time would just start to drain for every mint that goes through. Yeah, that's it. I guess, oh, okay, when the drop's live like this, I can always come back here. And I can edit anything, descriptions, I can edit information sections, I can edit FAQs, I can add FAQs, I can change my links. All the stuff about the mint page is completely editable after the mint's gone live. I can go into my settings and I can do like on-chain edits. So I can change the price if I wanted to in the middle of the mint. I could increase or decrease allowance. I could change my decay rate. If it wasn't going fast enough or it was going too fast, I could change this. Change your payout address. Or I could just be like, okay, well, I made a mistake. Or a couple days later, the mint seems to be coming to a slow. It's not minting out. I can always close my mint. So that's all done in the lab via your I'm going to show you how to get there really quick. You go to your contract. You're going to see all your tokens. Then there's a mint page tab. You can see your published pages. So your mints. So you just click on that. That's how I got here. Then you have your mint page details and you have your actual mint page settings that you can change. I think we've nailed everything pretty much.
Well, in the lab, yes, but Story Inscriptions is probably a great thing to maybe show some examples from our prod, from artists who have used stories for, proof of exhibition, proof of collaboration. TJO added a legal license to his piece using Story Inscriptions. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the things. And then Trace, and I think from there, I mean, we've covered our whole ecosystem.
Yeah, so let me connect my wallet here. Yes. So Story Inscriptions, if you own the token or you are the creator, if you come down to underneath the details about a piece, you'll see who owns it, collection info, so like token ID, contact address. Underneath that is something called Story Inscriptions. So here, if I'm connected with the right wallet, in this case, I'm the creator, so I'm adding a creator story. I can type in, I'm just going to use Lorem Ipsum again, but it supports like all markdown. I don't have an image ready to go, but I could get one really quick. I can also add images, and we're going to make this easier. But right now, it just uses markdown in the story. Eventually, we're going to have this actually have like a rich text editor, so you can upload images. It's just not as easy as you would think. Let me just upload my, actually, let's go to Accord and get an Arweave link here. So let me just grab an image here. We'll just, I don't know, what did I, it doesn't matter, I guess. We'll just get a pendulum piece. So grab my Arweave link. Sweet. I'm going to pop that in here. So we have instructions on how to do this. There's like a support article, how to add images, like what markdown is, and different like syntax styling help tools that can be used. That's like all right here. But if I want to preview this story, it's going to show me the text that I put in, and then it's going to render that image. So I can actually inscribe this on chain. This is the coolest part. On that token. So all of a sudden you have a lot more than just collector and sales provenance, which is all that we've ever had leading up to now. You can see who owned it. You can see who's transferred it. You can see what it's sold for. That's it. But there's so much history to NFTs that goes beyond that. There's like, what does it mean to the people that it's been in their possession? Why did they collect it? What are the behind the scenes? All kinds of other information. What does it make? What feelings does it invoke from collectors? Has it ever been displayed anywhere? You can show proof of exhibitions in here. So now Story Inscriptions allow me to add these, kind of think of them like ETH inscriptions, add them to the token. So it's actually on-chain log data, stored on-chain forever. So I just added a story to this. And let's just pretend this talks about my journey there. And let's pretend this image is like a behind the scenes of me with my tent camping or something. You can do stuff like that with behind the scenes for this artwork. And it just adds so much more richness to the stories or to the tokens and the artworks than before. Bloomscape. Does that know what it's called? Oh, I forgot the name of that piece. I was going to show you guys another one. Oh, it's on the mainnet, right? Oh, I totally spelled that wrong. Oh my gosh. There we go. I wanted to show you some like real use cases of this too. So like a Bloomscape, this is on mainnet now. This is a token. It's a dynamic artwork. It goes from black and white to colored as you play around with it. You can make stuff like this in the dynamic art engine, which is a whole nother topic. But this one has a lot of story inscriptions. So instructions on how to interact with the piece. Double clicking the top half puts it into an automated splat mode. Double clicking the bottom half switches the colors to colored default black and white, not default. And it explains here what the instructions are. There's another story in here that shows the prompt that was used to generate the AI piece originally. This story inscription shows all the code that goes into the dynamic piece. I'm not going to expand it because it's massive. And then we have a story inscription that is a proof of exhibition of this piece being displayed at Luminary Visions on a Pixel Glow touch screen where you can see someone interacting with the artwork in a gallery. So this acts as a proof of exhibition. And then this physical here has a counterpart trace chip on it. And so I can actually interlink between NFTs using story inscriptions. So I put a hyperlink in here, like this digital artwork has a physical counterpart. I click physical counterpart. That brings me to the actual trace chip certificate of authenticity for the physical for this piece. And then this one has, its own story events, including the proof of exhibition, and has the opposite. This physical originates from a digital counterpart and it can link back. So you can do some really cool stuff with story inscriptions, but it's just on-chain ledger of history of NFTs. So that's pretty cool. I mean, all kinds of artists have used the crap out of this. I wanted to do Rouge. So like TJO's Rouge piece, or Rouge, I'm not sure how you pronounce that exactly. But he put the entire license in the story inscription. So this is the use license. What does it mean to own this piece? What can you do with it? He put that entire legal document in an inscription tied to this token. And he's been doing that with a lot of his works. OXDGB. Which one is it? You remember what the name of that piece was?
Estate.
Estate?
It's the Estate series. There's like the Alley, and if you go, the Alley is one of them.
So this is an OXDGB piece. You can see in his story inscription, he has a proof of exhibition where he took a photo and showed that this piece is being displayed at Ninfa Milan. So that's just another use case. And then there's like Moonbeam tokens, which, good luck to me finding one that actually has a story inscription on it, because there's 36,000 of these. But some of these creators have been adding inscriptions here. I chose one that does not, but they had inscriptions here on a game that Shlomes and Carborn made their artists or their creators play. They made them play a really cool game where it's like you have to inscribe certain command lines, and based on what you inscribe, they would add new metadata to the 7160 token. So you can see this is a 7160, right? So if I scroll down under story inscriptions, I can see this has 6 creations in it. So there's the original one. There's the full moon here. Sun. There's this really cool glitch art piece they put in there. There's a freeze frame of a larger. It's just a whole game that they played with their guys. But then there's like an MP4 that shows the moment that totality happened. And my Wi-Fi is really slow, and I know this video is very large, but once this loads, it's a video of totality, the moment of totality that all these images came from. So they added these into the token itself, and used story inscriptions to inform some of what they added. So they got really in depth with all that. Come on, Wi-Fi. Let's go. I know we're trying to do a lot here.
I was going to say there's also TJO's Diaries of Compulsive Obsessions. I think the first token on that one, a collector has actually been sharing like his own, like a mental health diary, which is I think how TJO actually wanted collectors to interact with it. I think it's the first token if you click into it potentially.
Is it this one? Oh, token ID number 1?
No, like try that one. Oh, okay.
Oh, I could do token ID 1. So yeah, these are stories added by TJO. You can tell because these are purple stories. So these are creator stories. And then collector stories.
Oh, I guess not that one.
You'd have to know the token ID. I'm not sure which one.
All right. Yeah, I don't know, but there's basically.
So a collector added a story. You can see it's a gray circle here, but this collector just talked about what this piece means to them. And they put a whole bunch of entries in here. And they come back to this piece frequently, and they keep adding entries. So they're using it almost like an on-chain forum tied to a piece of artwork, which is really cool.
If they ever sold this token, all these inscriptions get right?
Yeah, they stay permanently. So these are on-chain, tied to this token forever. It's part of the art, which is really cool.
We had a question in the chat that I wasn't sure about actually, but Lucinda commented, my only problem is IPFS. I really prefer Arweave. If I pre-upload content to Arweave, can I point to the URL on Arweave? I don't believe we have a way to do this via the lab yet.
You can if you want to go into Etherscan. We used to use Arweave, but there's a lot of like reasons why we switched, including some potential threat to longevity, and they were bouncing between all kinds of bundling services, and it got.
I included Marco's article as well.
Okay, yeah, he goes a lot more in depth. IPFS is just as permanent. It's just a matter of hosting and pinning content. The content itself is permanently stored, just like it is on Arweave, and it can be repinned and rehosted by anyone at any point in time. I think there's just a lot of misunderstanding with the difference between the two. Whereas Arweave, they're hosting everything. But if they stopped hosting, you're going to have the same problem that you do with IPFS gateways that people stop hosting. Doesn't mean the content's gone, just means it has to be repinned somewhere else. The CID stays the same, though. But yeah, if you have a contract that you mint on here, you could, well, this is kind of what's cool about 7160 that some people have done. You could make a token that has a version of the artwork on IPFS, and then you add a version of the artwork on Arweave. And so if you go to, like, let's just say I minted this token. It has 4 creations in it already, but let's just say I had 1. And that one was done in the lab, so it's on IPFS. But if I click on this button here, the chain logo, and I go to Etherscan, there is a function in here where you could add token URIs. So I could say, well, that was token ID 1, and now I want to add my Arweave link. I forget the actual, let's just say it's this. Just for the sake of demonstration. I can add my Arweave link in here for the metadata, and then write that. The lab will show it. Like, it doesn't matter that it's on Arweave. So when you come back here and you look into your token, you'll see the IPFS one, but then you'll also see another one pop up for the Arweave version that you added. You can do the same thing with blank contracts. You could just deploy a contract in the lab. Maybe it has 0 tokens. So you have any tokens. Here's one with 0 tokens. Let's just delete that. It'll look like this. Oh, please delete. Or is that one not deleted? I don't know. Whatever. It's an old contract. There we go. So you can have a blank contract like this. You click that logo once again, go to Etherscan, and you can just hit the mint function number 11, put your address in here, put that Arweave link in here, and mint it. So you can host your own. Yeah, you could use Arweave if you want, but still use the lab for all of the UI otherwise, and for like managing your contract and making, you know, auctions and stuff in a little bit here.
Thanks for that. Yeah, we have auctions coming next month, so that's going to be really exciting. You know, the last thing I want to make sure we cover before we kind of close this out is trace and trace chips. I actually have a trace chip with me. I can kind of shift focus here, and maybe we can just talk about that, unless you think maybe, Ben, that we missed anything in the lab.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it's just a matter of getting in here and exploring, or coming up with, if you have an idea on what you want to do with a drop,
DM us.
I guarantee you can figure out how to do it with what we have available at Transient. Like if you like, oh, I want to do a cool mint that's, you know, either a 1 of 1 7160 or an 1155, or a 1 of 1 that is a 7160. You can do that too. 7160s are 1 of 1s. You can do that, and then you could also just like come on over to Transient.fun dynamic art engine, and you could play around with all the dynamic art recipes if you wanted to make your piece actually like dynamic, time-based, interactive, whatever. Like this piece changes based on where your mouse is at. Like you can start playing with this tooling and then bring those pieces that you make back over to the lab. And I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can piece together really unique collections, or just tell thorough stories There's all kinds of.
And just to add to that, our mint pages are free for creators to use. If you use a mint page, we charge a very small mint fee to the collector, similar to other platforms. It's 0.0009 ETH, roughly around $3 that a collector pays per mint. And it also saves you minting because we use lazy minting, which means the collector mints on demand. So you don't have to mint and then list, you just list.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a piece from Juicy Julia. I'm sure we all know him. He made this piece, has really, lots of different attributes, tags, a description here. If you want to go, he could start adding his story inscriptions to explain how he made this piece, but the piece itself is actually dynamic. So as I run my mouse across the sand, it colorizes the artwork. And if I take it off, it leaves it colored. If I run it back across, I can set at any point in between black and white and colored, and then just like pull my mouse off the art and leave it. So set it and just be like, boom. It's like, I like it right there. That's cool. So, yeah, it's just, we need like a whiteboard of like a cork board of like story inscriptions, 1155s, 7160s, 721s, dynamic art. And you could just lay in bed at night and just dream up the craziest like drop experiential drops you could make, piecing things together and activating your collector base and doing really cool things that kind of stand out and add a lot of depth.
Can you actually share the support center as well?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways to get there. There's down here, support. It's probably the easiest way.
The reason I bring that up is like in the meantime, we have a very thorough support center. We can learn about each contract, see examples. But additionally, if you ever just want to have a human that you can talk to and share your ideas, we're more than happy, and we'd love to help guide you, provide ideas, provide different smart contracts that would work. And just we're here to help. So please do lean on us if you have any questions or ideas and you're just not sure where to get started.
Yeah, so you can either go to the support center. There's tons of articles here. If you're in the lab, there's the intercom down here. You can see Marco and Daniel are online right now. And we're pretty damn fast. That's one of the things we're proud of. So you can talk to us by sending messages. And you can also get to the support article from here. You can search any of our articles in here. Like, what's the 7160 contract? Oh, there's all kinds of articles that come up with that. So what is the here you go. What is a multi-creation token contract? And you can read about that here. The same articles exist in here as well. And a lot of them have videos, either by Daniel or by me.
Yes.
So if you like to learn by videos, there's tons of video content in here as well. But really, the more you learn about the stuff that we're building and what's capable, the more powerful you'll become as a creator. Especially when it comes to things like dynamic art engine in here. This shit is limitless, quite literally. I've built some pretty insane things in here. But if you don't want to take the time to learn how to use the blocks and create recipes, there's all these pre-built recipe templates that are just kind of like ready to go, plug and play. And then there's tons of tutorials in here too, where you can watch videos about every recipe. It's all me in here just talking about how to build living artwork, dynamic content, all that kind of stuff.
All right. Last thing, we can probably go over this in 5 minutes. It's trace and what that is and how it looks like. So I actually have a trace chip right here in front of me. It's about the size of a credit card, and it's a peel and stick. So this is actually an NFC-enabled chip that's also a self-contained wallet address. And Ben, maybe we could just go to the main Transient site and go to like the New West collection by Jeremy Booth, just as like an example of what a trace.
I was going to show what a trace contract looks like. It's the same thing. It's a 721 under the hood. You create tokens the same way. The only difference is that whatever artwork you upload gets this border added to it. Trace. It's almost like a Polaroid. Kind of looks cool. And when you go to mint it, it asks you to scan the trace chip with your phone, and that's how it links that COA to the Halo chip, is what it's called.
Right.
But if we go to the Transient,
It's purely a certificate of authenticity for the physical, owned by the physical, meaning you cannot list or sell, trace NFTs because they are just certificates of authenticity.
Yeah, so Jeremy Booth did this New West exhibition in Marfa during the summer, and he had all these physical paintings, 9 of them, that were he paints these things like a badass, and then he trace chipped every single one of them. So there's a trace chip on the back of every single one of these paintings, and then they were all auctioned off at this event. So any one of these you could open. Let's pick. This one's pretty cool. So it's a photo of the actual painting hanging up at the gallery. And then down here, we can see it was authenticated in May. The artwork was created in November 09, so a year before. And then he added some behind the scenes to the COA. There's no other certificate of authenticity in the world that lets you add this kind of content to it. So he's got behind the scenes of him actually working on this piece. And then there's a couple more events in here. Gave credit to Emerson Sensman, who made the promo video for this. And you can actually watch the promo video for this artwork. And then finally, a proof of exhibition. And then it was sold to Nicholas Smith, who didn't want the amount disclosed. So we have an option in there that's for an undisclosed amount. If I'm the creator of this artwork, when I hit add record, it gives you a menu of different types of records you can add, whether it's authentication date, creation date, behind the scenes, third party, grading, like a grade, like quality. I forget what you actually call that, a grade. There's authentication, third party authentication stories, sales, all kinds of stuff. And so this is a COA that this artwork, because it's attached to the back, that COA actually owns this NFT and it's locked in there. So it's one of the rare cases where the physical artwork itself owns its COA, and it's uses the blockchain for provenance and cryptographic security and proof of authenticity.
Awesome. Beryl, do you have any questions? I know you specifically asked about trace, so I just want to make sure that we answer any questions about that. But it's really simple. So the first step is you buy trace chips at shop.transient.xyz. Second step is once you get the chips, you go into the lab, you deploy a contract, you create your trace digital certificates of authenticity and mint them to the trace chips. And then you just peel and stick them onto the back of your canvas or your work. And they're ready to go. If a collector scans it, they don't have to know anything about crypto or Web3. They just get taken to that certificate of authenticity with all those records. They can read about it, immerse themselves in it, and track the provenance without having a wallet or anything of the sort. Awesome. I think we covered a lot today. Thank you, everyone, for joining and sticking with us for more than an hour. This has been awesome.
This was a long one. But yeah, it's cool. I was going to show them what the trace. So this one's like just a test trace, but if I hit add record, you can see here we got all these options for third-party authentication, appraisals, legals, alterations, exhibitions, transfers, trades, sales, media, freeform. Freeform is just put whatever you want, like behind the scenes, and then creation date. So I can add those records into this trace chip, and it gets stored. It doesn't matter where the artwork is. It could be across the world. It gets stored in that trace chip. So if someone comes up and scans it, they'll see all those records being added. This one is like probably, this is like, I don't know. This is one of the coolest pieces of tech we've made for physical pieces that I just don't think a lot of people have really thought of and how like game changing it is and stuff. So yeah, it'll have its moment.
Yeah, we're at the frontier. We're creating new things, and sometimes it's a little hard for people to grok, I think, but there is adoption slowly but surely, I think, for trace, for 7160 as well. Where just like if you can't see it, it's hard to imagine. I think that's the case here. But once again, thank you everyone for joining. I know we went a little over the 1 hour mark. We're going to upload this to YouTube, and I'm going to follow up in an email, including the recorded video here, so you can always revisit it. And then please, always feel free to DM us at Transient Labs or our personal Twitters. Yeah, we're excited to see what you create in the lab. Thank you for joining, everyone.